How's it going, folks? Nick here with the Permaculture vlog. It has been it's been like 3 or 4 weeks since I last posted, and I'm sorry guys, I've just been so busy with life and other things that I just haven't gotten around to it. Say hello to Otto. Otto's here to say hi to you guys. Hey Otto, he's a boy, he's a boy. I am here to just show you guys what I've been doing, an update. I'm gonna do one little project with you guys. I gotta harvest some plantains. So I'm gonna harvest a plantain with you guys today. And I'm just going to show you what I've been doing the past couple weeks, few weeks, 3 or 4 weeks since the last vlog. So let's go ahead and get started right away. So I finally got around to cleaning these upper beds. I took away the fencing. I basically just pulled all the weedy growth that's been growing in here, a lot of grasses and stuff like that. You can actually see here, look at all these ants here. They're already coming in to start breaking down all this banana leaf and everything else in here. These guys just go crazy. Ants and termites in the tropics are responsible for more soil building than worms in the tropical climate. So seeing ants in the garden, that's a good thing. Of course, there's always the annoying ants, the fire ants. There's leaf cutter ants that give some people problems in some places if you have those. But in general, ants and termites, good thing for the soil around you. Maybe not the best thing for intense garden cultivation, especially their fire ants, because that's never fun, right? But having ants and termites around in your ecosystem is a very beneficial thing for the tropics. See right up here, I cleaned this bed out finally. Same exact thing. Basically, you can actually see there's a couple eggplants still on there, which is kind of crazy to me because I've done nothing to this plant. It's just kind of growing, and you can see there's also some basil up here. Everything's basically flowering or fruiting at this point. So I just came through and gave it a nice big reset to everything. The next plant here, look at this, my cranberry hibiscus. It's finally starting to take off. This is an edible leaf hibiscus. I think it's not actually like a true hibiscus in the hibiscus family, but you eat the leaves, and it has a kind of bitter taste, almost like a cranberry, which is why it gets the name. So you eat the leaf of this guy. So really excited about that. We actually harvested pineapple from this one. I harvested pineapple there, and I harvested a pineapple from right up here as well. And those are my first 2 pineapples that I planted here on the homestead. It's been basically 2 years from when I planted them to when I could harvest. And let me tell you, they were delicious. They were small. Usually the first couple are pretty small, but they were very good, very sweet. And I really look forward to kind of having some more of those in the next coming years. Because basically, pineapple is a perennial plant, so it'll just keep popping up fruit after fruit, year after year. It only produces 1 a year, so now I got to wait till next year. But hey, at least I got pineapple in the backyard, right? The plan up here, guys, is basically to come in, add compost, get the bed seeded and reset so that I can basically leave here and have things growing. The issue is I'm not going to be here, so I'm not going to be able to manage the system when it's first getting started. And that's usually when I find that you need the most amount of management, making sure the weeds don't completely take over, giving it a little bit of a boost to make sure that the plants you want there can actually make it to fruition, right? So I'm not going to be here for that. It'll be kind of an experiment, and I'm also probably not going to plant things that are going to require a lot of attention. Luckily, we do have in the house that we used to live in here, we're going to actually have two or three workawayers staying who are going to be helping up at Hacienda Rosa, and they're actually going to hopefully help me with taking care of the chickens and everything. So I might be able to get them involved with the garden a little bit, but I have less than 2 weeks to do all that. I don't even know if I'm going to, I want to get the compost out and I want to seed something. That's pretty much my only 2 major goals for getting the gardens back up and running. And then of course I'm going to come back and it's going to be summer. So I really should get these things going, because otherwise we're not going to have production until the fall. It's been a hard time to keep up with everything, guys. And honestly, I want to talk, hey, okay, enough. That's enough. Rooster's trying to decide that he needs to get the say here. Just be quiet. I'm talking here. Something I want to talk about is, it's been quite some time since I've been back here quite actively on a regular basis. And let me tell you, I'm sure you guys can relate to this. Sometimes it's really hard to get started again. It's really hard to be like, you know what, I'm going to take the time, get back there, start working again, doing all that beneficial things now so that later I have a harvest that I can actually have. Even knowing all that, even knowing that by coming back here and planting and getting things ready, even knowing that that's going to end up giving me produce, high quality produce, sometimes it's just hard to get restarted. And I'm sure that most people have felt that at some point in their lives when they're doing gardening and that kind of stuff, that kind of work. So I just want to share that with you. I'm certainly not, I also feel that. I also have those feelings of, oh, I got to get back there and work, and I just feel like a little bit stressed about it, and I feel like I'm never going to get caught up. I feel so behind back here. But what I find really helps me a lot is the Puerto Rico saying, and I'm sure this saying is throughout the world, right? Poco a poco, little by little, step by step, you know, poco a poco. Just doing a little tasks every day or every other day or whenever you have time. So the other day when I came back here to clean up those beds up there, I was planning on cleaning the beds, getting the compost on, maybe doing some seeding, all this other stuff. And once I started cutting the grass, cleaning the beds and everything, it was like 2 or 3 hours in, I was like, I'm just tired, I'm sweaty, I'm just like, I've also obviously been working, so it's not the only thing I'm doing back here. So by the time I was done those 2 hours, I was just like, that's all I got today. That's all I got. But that's okay, because guess what? Now it's all ready, and all I have to do is add compost. And I already have compost made and waiting for us, so that's a good thing. So the point here, the point I'm trying to get across here, guys, maybe really poorly, is don't get overwhelmed with the work, because it's the work that's going to kind of provide the benefit for you. By doing that little bit of work, even a little tiny bit of work, it can provide such a huge benefit in terms of having food. I mean, look at this. Right up here, let's see, I want to make sure I can actually get you in the shot here. Right up here, look at this. This is a plantain that's actually ready for harvest. You can't even see the plantains. They're right up in there. They're right up there. You can't even see them. But all this stuff around here, this is all chayote. Chayote is an edible perennial fruit. It's a vine that goes all over. You can see it just going crazy here. And it's actually going, you can see it's taking all over here. It's going all the way up my fence line. It's going down this way. I've had lots of videos where I'm talking about how much I'm impressed by this chayote. Look at this, it's even crawling over the fence up into the bananas on the other side of the fence. So this thing is prolific. It's a very, very prolific producer. And it just keeps growing and keeps growing. So I don't want to stop that. I want to make sure I can let it keep growing. But the issue is now that chayote is growing right on the plantain that I need to harvest. So it's going to be kind of a fun harvest. It's going to be a little bit different because I need to pay attention to the chayote. I might actually end up breaking a vine, and I guess that's just life. It is a perennial. It should cut and then come right back. So I'm not too worried about that. But I want to make sure I get those plantains before I leave so we can actually eat some of them, and I can share those with people I love here. So let's get started with harvesting that. All right, first thing I'm going to do is just kind of clean up a little bit just so I can see where the plant is, because I can't even really see where this trunk is. Now that I'm identifying where the trunk is, I'm trying to see where the vines are, how they're attached. It looks like they're all pretty much just going straight up and then straight back down. So what I'm going to try to do is actually cut the base of the plantain. Usually what I would do is cut it and let it fall over. What I'm going to try to do is cut it, set it down, and then pull the whole base out. This might be a huge failure, guys, so it might be kind of fun for you to watch. So let's just see how well I can do here. Watch out, Otto. It's going to get kind of weird here. I have to hold this up while I go. All right. I got 1/2 of it cut. Oops. Remember that thing where I said it was probably gonna be a big fail? There you go. So instead of going this way like I was planning on going, the whole thing just went down right over here. Let's bring you in a little bit. Let me show you guys something real quick. Really interesting to note. See how all this dripping? Do you see how it's just completely soaked? So all this is filled with so much moisture. The more I touch this, the more it drips. Like all this, I'm touching this right here. You can see there's like that sap right on me. Bananas and plantains have so much water in them, and that's why they're such a great mulch. This trunk material right here, such a good long-term mulch for the tropics. Takes long to break down, and what I usually do, I've shown this to you before, but you cut like that right up the trunk. So you split the entire thing in half, and then I just cut in little chunks where it makes it easy. So you're basically a semicircle top, or a half cylinder basically, and you can lay the flat part right on the ground, and it's a great way to have really bulky mulch here in the tropics, and that's really what you're looking for. Check it out right there. That's the chayote. That's the chayote, the vegetable that grows off of that vine that I was just talking about. These guys are everywhere throughout the vine right now. So I planted a whole bunch down here when I reset this bed. I think the last video I actually talked about harvesting the last plantain, and look at this. This is all the growth that came from right there. So here I actually have 1 here, 2, 3 over here, and then 4 back there. So this is too many. I really only want 1 main trunk producing here. I don't want to have 4 different ones because that's just going to end up, they're all going to compete for each other. So what I need to do is actually cut these back, and what I may do is dig some of them out and then transplant them. So that's the best way to kind of spread these kind of plants is these little babies, when you're managing these, you only really want 3, the main producer, the one that's about to take the place of the main producer, and then like a very small one that's like long-term going to be there, right? So all these extras, they're not going to really help me at all. They're just everyone's going to compete, and it's just going to take longer to get a fruit. So I'm going to end up having to manage that. I probably won't do that today because I want to finish this project, because as you can see here, I got quite a lot to deal with already, and I really only have a little bit of time here. The other thing I wanted to show is this plantain, the one that's going to take its place. See this? It's starting to really pop out and come through, and now you can actually see it with all this mess of a chayote vine gone. So here's the original right here. This is the one we just harvested, obviously. This is the next one in line. This is the one that's going to fruit next. You can see it's coming up, and it's already over 6 feet, over 2 meters tall. It's probably closer to 3 meters, almost 8 or 9 feet. So it's already pretty tall and getting up there. So it's already kind of moving its way up towards the top. The ones over here, they're much smaller. I'm actually not really sure why the one up top here ended up producing a taller baby than the other ones, but that's how it went. So now I have the glorious task of trying to make my way through all this. Check this out. Otto's enjoying the underneath area. Yeah, you like that? Lots of weird stuff going on, huh, bud? So I need to get to the plantains, and the other reason I don't really like to let these just fall is because I can end up damaging the harvest. So let's go ahead and see if we can find where this harvest is here. Here we go. Check it out. Look at those. Oh, they're beautiful. These are absolutely gorgeous plantains, platanos here in Puerto Rico. So these are the kind that you cut up and you fry them. You make tostones or mofongo here in Puerto Rico. Very delicious fruit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut that right off real quick. And I have this entire bunch. And let's see how heavy this thing is. Like, I move a little bit. All right, so let's take a look and see how much we actually got out of that one tree. Wow. Check out that rack right there. So usually you sell these by the mono, is what they call them here, and that's like this group. You either sell them per plantain, you can sell them per plantain, that's fine. Plantains, actually, they usually do sell them per plantain, but the easiest way to kind of group them together is what they call the mono. And so that's basically the fruit cluster or the flower cluster here. So you can see here, see how on the stem here, we have a whole bunch of these plantains coming off of that top bit there. You can see there's a separation there. So I'd cut this off, and this would be one mono. And that mono just means hand in Spanish. So it's like one hand, and here's another hand here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hands. So there's 7 monos in that one rack. That right there. And this is like primo. You can see they're almost yellowing at the bottom there, on the lowest ones there, right down here, almost getting yellow. Usually plantains, you're eating them green, but a lot of people do enjoy the yellow ones. They call them amarillos here. Amarillo means yellow in Spanish. So it's a pretty easy thing to remember. But the amarillos are the sweet ones because they're more like a banana in that they're actually fully ripe. They're yellow. They have more sweetness to them, so they're just a little more like of a sweet treat more than like a savory treat. So with the same exact fruit, with the same exact product there, you can have both sweet and savory depending on how ripe it is and when you harvest it and when you cook it up. So if I just let those stay and sit, they will end up turning yellow eventually. They will ripen up. So even these green ones will end up turning into amarillos eventually. So really excited about that. So now all I have to do is, you know, clean all this up. I'm so glad that I decided to come out here and harvest these because I've been actually wanting some plantains recently. But also I really need to get it done before I left. So you guys are really my inspiration for doing this because I probably would have just come up, cut it down real quick, moved on with my day, but it's been almost a month since I posted. I really wanted to get something else out there for you guys. So I'm glad I could get out here and do this. So now we have the really fun task of trying to get all this untangled in a way that doesn't completely destroy all the chayote. But even if it does, that's okay. We have a lot of it. So let's take a look and try to do that. Before I do move on to that though, look at this cat in here. This cat just loves the garden, loves exploring in these spots down here. You go boy, you go boy. That's Otto. He's literally, yeah, look at him. He has this little spot right there, this little seat. He's just chilling. He has a little tail wagging, super happy. Good boy. Yeah, you good boy. You're just a sweet cat. I'm not worried, but I'm concerned about him for when we leave because this cat just showed up here, Otto, in this backyard. We found him right underneath, or I didn't find him, but Katie found him right underneath this coconut tree. He was hiding in this little area right down here, meowing, looking for food. Katie came out, fed him, and he just kept coming back. And then we're like, all right, well, this is our cat now. And but we haven't left him. Like, we haven't both been gone and left him alone since we've adopted him. And he was like a stray cat before, so I'm kind of worried he's gonna be like, oh no, where are my people? I'm gonna leave now. I don't think he will. He's pretty happy. And we have people who are gonna come here and make sure he's happy and healthy and all that. So I'm not really too worried about it, but just concerned, a little concerned. I just hope he's all right with us gone. All right, let's get to this plantain real quick so I can continue on with the day here. So my plan is just to cut it in a few different sections. If I can get through it. There we go. There's one. Oh, that's still connected to the trunk here. There we go. We'll deal with that in a minute. All right, next thing I'm going to do is cut right here is where all the leaves and the inflorescence started. So I'm going to cut right here just to minimize how much extra stuff is going to try to get me caught here. It's okay. There we go. And now it's just trying to work all this stuff off without destroying it. There we go. And now I got all this chayote vine right here that needs to go somewhere. Probably just throw this up here for now and let it decide how it wants to take over. Here's that last little meaty chunk here. All right. Now, like I was saying, I cut these in half, approximately in half. Doesn't have to be perfect. I usually just use my machete. Just gotta be careful, especially if you have a curved machete, because this curve can end up poking you, right? But just push down the machete. Once it gets low enough, you can use your foot on the one side. Help give you some leverage. Works best with a very sharp machete. Just makes life much easier. So there you go. Now I have two sides, kind of semicircle sides. You see that? So one side's flat, one side's round. This is really easy and convenient. Just lay on the soil as a mulch. As a deep mulch. I'm going to do the same thing with this smaller piece here. And if you don't get it perfect in like half, this one was a little knot in the middle, you can just cut it in quarters. Quarters is fine too, ain't nothing wrong with that. Give you a little bit more, especially if you have a kind of smaller area to cover, you don't want as much of a bulk. Or if you have a really thick bamboo trunk, you can cut these in quarters instead of halves. That works just fine, obviously. Absolutely fine there, no problems with that. And then with the long ones, what I usually do, unless I need it for a long purpose, I usually cut them in half or quarters or something like that along the length here, just to give me a little bit more usability. In this case, I'm actually going to use these guys on an upper bed because I need some deep mulch in a place to help hold up part of my bed. So I'm going to put that up there. Let's go do that real quick. All right, so you can see here, what I'm doing here is using this as the lower part of this bed because I've never actually installed like a little anything to retain all the soil up there. I just keep adding something at the base layer to help hold it all up. In this case, I'm continuing to do that with the plantain trunk. So that'll basically add a little bit of a raised edge that I can put the compost up against once I get to that step. I'll probably end up cutting that so it's kind of nice and pretty and ends at the end of the bed, and use the other length for maybe this edge over here, something like that. But for now, that's perfectly fine. Whew. I tell you, it's only like, I think it's like 8:30 or something like that in the morning here. And I'm already sweating like crazy. That's how hot it is. Hey, kitty. What you doing? What you doing, bud? Go ahead, get it. Get it. Oh, you're a good boy. Oh, I tell you, it's so much fun having a cat back here who enjoys the garden as much as I do. It just makes my day. I'm going to show you one more thing before we wrap up, and that's how I finish off the cut here at the ground level. So I cut this high when I was cutting it down because I was hoping to cut it and then like lift it off and then set the whole trunk down and then walk it down this way. That was my plan. That didn't work. That's okay. So the goal here being is I want to create a nice V so that all the water, the sappiness, I showed you earlier how wet this thing is. I want all the sap to basically collect and then solidify. So I'm going to cut this way and angle down. Didn't really work as an angle. It's okay. And just start slicing. A lot of times it's easier just to slice these if you have a sharp enough machete to do this. I usually start with a big cut and then I make my finishing cuts after the fact. So I have an angle there. I have a cut this side. I'm going to do that down. So basically I'm just going at like a 45-degree angle into the stem here. And I'm just kind of basically letting it take me where it wants to go. So I do one here, one here. I'm going to do one more over here. And that's going to hopefully give me all that I need to cut to create this angle. Look at that. Take this whole thing out. You see that? See how I have like there's like a point that comes to a point there? That's because I did those 3 cuts, right? So that nice point gives me a nice big easy chunk that I can throw down anywhere. And now you can see that this area here, I just kind of cut all this stuff, loose stuff off. Anywhere that can kind of get infected, I try to clean off a little bit. But now there's this nice little pool of area where all this extra sap, it's going to collect right in here. And then that's going to allow any sort of disease. What happens is all that sap, it dries out and basically kind of seals this off, and it will prevent any disease from getting down into this, into the plantain tree. Because remember, this thing's a perennial, it's going to keep shooting up new ones. So if this thing gets infected, it's going to affect all the other ones as well. So I want to make sure I protect this as best I can. So that's how I do it. 3 little cuts like that. One this way, one this way, one this way. 3 cuts. You can also do 4 cuts. You can do more than 4 cuts. You can do whatever works for you. That's how I manage the plantains and bananas in my property. I learned that from tropic agriculture. It's a type of agriculture that utilizes a lot of straight line patterning, but basically you plant all your species of succession all at one time. So from the annual cover crop that you want to just cover the ground, all the way up into the long-term climax trees, you plant them all at the same time and all from seed. And it's a really cool method. Check it out. I'll try to leave a link to some Syntropic something or other, so you can go check it out. Syntropic agriculture fits underneath like the permaculture wardrobe, what they call it. Basically, like permaculture is like this huge, wide, broad-ranging thing. Syntropic agriculture, you could say, is a subset of permaculture, but really it's just its own thing. Right? But in terms of how it works, the design, the thinking, the planning, the management, all that also falls within like kind of like the permaculture mindset as well. So I'm utilizing it here, testing it out, seeing how it works, and there we go, guys. That is the plantain harvest. We went from a large mass of chayote vine all over the place to now the chayote vine's still all over the place and just a little bit more of a rough shape. And now we have a clear bed again, ready to add some compost in there to give these guys long-term production. The chayote vine, it's all based right in here. The main vine's like right down here. I have another palm coming up here. I have more plantain. There's a papaya coming up. We also have another palm down there. This is a long-term bed that is going to hopefully be producing for years and decades to come. That's the goal here. Long-term systems where once you get it kind of up and running, it's just management after that. The other thing I wanted to show you guys is in this bed before I sign off, and I broke it here. Hopefully I didn't destroy it and kill it. But you see this right here? This is moringa. Moringa, this is the same tree I have right up here, right? And what I did is I cut a whole bunch of branches down at some point just to clean that up. And I used the branches as my posts to help guide up the chayote here. And that post just started growing. It grew roots and started adding its new leaf. So all this right here, right there, that nice green leaf, oh, those are the best right there. That's like the high vitamins, delicious. It's almost sweet. It's a little nutty, but very, very, very nutritious for you. So I'm also going to bring all this little branch in too. So, all right, guys, that's about it. I guess I'll give you a real quick update on the compost in here, and maybe we'll get one more shot at Otto. He's hunting something up there. I don't know what it is. Get it? Where is it? Where is it? You get it? You get it? Good boy. You get it? Whew. That cat actually, he brought home a bird yesterday. It was a dove. White-winged dove here, they're like plentiful birds. There's no need to like have to worry about, oh no, we're gonna get rid of the birds here. I generally don't love it when Otto brings back a bird, but this is the first bird he's ever brought back. So I'm very proud of him. I'm proud of the cat for finally getting a bird. He's waited so long to try to get to that. And I'm proud of him. Hopefully he doesn't do it all the time. But those white-winged doves, they're just dumb and stupid, and there's so many of them. They're not dumb, guys. I'm not trying to hate on these birds, but they're just not the brightest of the bird bunch, if you know what I mean. Let's take a look in here right before we sign off. Check out the chickens. I already fed them this morning. I wasn't going to do a vlog, and then I was just like, no, I'm just going to get it done. So you can see we got all the compost pile, which was here, is now just completely spread out. Absolutely spread out. It's been like that for a while. You can see all the chicks down here. These are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, these are all the new chicks right over here. One rooster, and then Henry, that was the mama, the one who sat on all the eggs, and the rooster. They're all starting to integrate pretty well. But all this right here, this is all the compost right down in here. At this point, I've just been letting it sit and but sit and just kind of continue to decompose. It should be really, really high in fungi at this point because I haven't been turning it much. I've been just letting it sit. That allows the fungi to really get a hold throughout the pile. It smells exactly like forest floor. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm ready to use this at any point. It's really honestly just, I need to get the time to come out here and apply the compost. Yeah, that's it for me today. And here's Otto wanting to come up. He's trying to come up to he loves to go up on this shade cloth up here, and we play on the shade cloth. He loves it up here. All right, folks, that's it for me today. Hope you enjoyed that little hands-on tutorial for how to harvest those plantains. Please don't follow my initial cut where it just fell and completely fell to the ground. there's something inherently wrong with letting it just fall as you would, but you often will lose a couple bananas or plantains if it hits the ground at some sort of impact. So it's nice to have a little bit of control over the fall. Usually I would cut it a little bit into the trunk and then like literally guide it down and set it down on the floor. Because of that chayote, what I was trying to do is save the chayote, but ended up being just fine. It fell over, chayote will be just fine anyway. So I should have just done it the usual way. I was trying to do something fancy for you guys. Didn't work out, but that's all right. You guys got to see my process, how to do that, how to harvest them, how to cut up the banana trunks and use them for you in your garden, especially in the tropics. Deep, bulky mulch, that's what you want in the tropics. Stuff that takes a long time to break down and protects the soil for more than just a few days, like something like a grass would degrade really, really quickly here in the tropics. There's just so fast decomposition cycles here in the tropics. You really want all that extra time you can get. So, all right, hope you guys all enjoyed that. And this may be my last vlog for a while, because again, like in less than 2 weeks, I'm gonna be traveling. I'm gonna try to get one more in next week, but it's really just gonna depend on how much stuff I also gotta get done in prepping for leaving and all that kind of stuff. I'm now finished with most of our home tasks, our moving tasks. So I do have a little bit more extra time, but at this point, it's gonna be like the final prepping everything to leave, training people how to take care of the chickens, and all the little things you have to do before you leave a place for a little while. So, but I will be back. If I don't come back before I leave to go to Seattle, I will be hopefully filming a couple vlogs while I'm there. Those will be released as I have time. And then once I'm back, I'm hoping to really get this thing back up and running as I used to before this big move and all the craziness that happened. So, really looking forward to coming back and being with you guys on a regular basis. Hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to leave those below. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe and like the channel and all those things. It really helps me get the word out there and just get more viewers and get the information out there to more and more people. I keep seeing new people sign up and subscribe and leave me a comment. It's so nice to see those. So thank you so much for all of you who actually done that already. Until next time, have a good one.